Okay, Brian from Garage Mahal. Today we are working on a 2007 Honda Accord, and to say the least, it's got some stuff going on with it. All right, mainly it has inside tire wear. So suspect is the strut shock and the upper control arm. Not I, but a previous mechanic had replaced the lower control arm for basically the same reason, and it went through another set of tires. So definitely going to be the strut and the upper control arm. First thing you got to do is basically take the entire brake system apart. You got to pull a lot of cables out of the way, but it's not like it's not too crazy of a repair to do. It's just a little time consuming. And I already did the passenger side, so it's basically going to be a mirror of what you're going to be doing on this side. You do need a little bit of tools, nothing too crazy. You know, a couple of different size sockets. I think they're like 17, 14, and 13s, and a 10 millimeter. Various couple different wrenches that kind of help speed things along. I like the ratcheting ratchets. I used to like this Milwaukee tool pretty extensively and everything, but I've since then transitioned over to their angled impact driver, and you'll see why once we get going. By the way, let's start taking the brakes apart. And I think those are 13, or are they 14? Yeah, 14. And this is a 3-inch drive. And I love this thing. And you got a power selection. You can choose 3 being the highest, and then as a smart mode, which will basically loosen a bolt until it starts spinning, and then it'll back off to a slower, more controlled thing, which works great when you're taking brakes off. So see how easy, fast that comes off. All right, and then get the caliper off. Now, normally I hang it on basically the support brackets, but since we're not going to be able to do that, we're going to put it right here and hook it, and hopefully that'll hold without too much jostling. Let's get these little 10 millimeters out of the way real quick while we're sitting here. I think we'll just use the regular fuel ratchet. Oops, and that nut broke off. I gotta check this one. Well, that's what happens when you got older rusty parts and pieces, but that's okay. All right, we'll get that completely out of the way. All right, next we'll get this bracket off, which I think is a 17 millimeter bracket bolt. Oh, maybe it's a little bit higher than that. What's this one? All right, so this is your 17. All right, I think I had a 3/8 drive one. Yeah, here we go. Okay. This is so new that I'm going to put that on 3. All right, we're going to go to now we're going to get the back bolts off of the bracket. So I like using my little side angle onyx. This one's pretty cool. It's by Astra. It's an 1832 model. Oh. Right. And there we go, jumping bolt. absolutely love that little tool. All right, so now we'll take the bracket completely off and we'll test everything here. So it looks pretty good. All right, I'll put this bracket down here out of the way. And the rotor stuck on pretty good. So quick trick is the handy dandy air hammer. I just like giving it a couple hits. Sometimes that loosens them up. Get from the angle. Spin it. There we go. A couple of hits. Alright, that rotor comes off. Put it down there. Okay. Now a couple other things is I'm going to take that bracket off on that side. Now my 10mm, and this is going to be your speed sensor on here, and I recommend, kind of hard to see behind there, but spray some WD in that area. We're going to use our extension. And I know you can't see behind there, but there is a 10mm bolt that's behind there. I'll put it in there. Freed up nice and easy. Oop, I keep banging you guys. With that, it might need a little persuasion with a. Let me see if I can't turn this. She's not turning. Okay. But what I like to do is I like to take a little screwdriver and you kind of work around it. A little bit more WD. I don't know if you can see that, but we want to soak it pretty good. Suckers in there pretty good. Alright, we're going to loosen this little, there's a 10mm nut on this. That nut off. I'll take this little bracket off. That might give us enough room, but I really like to take the speed sensors out. Anyway, all right, while we're here, we're going to take this little pin out for the upper control arm. And these usually get rusted pretty bad, and they'll usually break out completely. See you later. All right, so that's that. And on top of the upper control arm, if you look at how the bolts are situated in there, you have to take the strut out anyway. So we'll do a couple things and a couple quick tips, but anyway, let's get this little guy out. think he is at the 17. And we're going to make some quick work of this. So we're going to use the air right angle. I think we might be able to get in there with that. Yeah. Versus the regular air hammer. Just get my adapter for this. This one. I'll keep looking for sockets. So that came out pretty quick. What I worry about with these is sometimes these are so rusted they sit and you'll never get them out. But that came out pretty easy. Now, next thing is put an air hammer on it, pop that out nice and easy. So we'll switch airlines again. And I wish somebody made a cordless air hammer. Well, you know what I mean, battery operated. Alright, so we'll just hit this once or twice. Just like that, that comes off. So my second favorite tool is definitely the Ingersoll Rand thing. Okay, alright, next, let's get this axle nut off. Brace a little WD-40 on that. We'll use a regular air hammer. Call them air hammers, but air wrench. Everybody knows what I'm talking about though. Alright, let's take that off. And that was easy. Okay, you want to make sure you spray some WD in here. So that will push out. Sometimes you can push with your finger, but sometimes it needs a little more persuasion. So we'll just quick wrap with the hammer. Okay, finally. And once you start getting some thread showing through, spray some WD down the back. Now, it should have been greased. They usually come out a lot easier than that, but for whatever reason. Ream the threads out on that. But that sucker is not coming out. Alright. Yeah. I think we'll try to work around that. Leaving it sit there, but most of the time that usually comes out completely. Oh, we're going to be doing alignment later, so let me get that. Let me get that sprayed down already. Okay, so next, basically, you're going to have to remove tension on the shock because you're going to have to pull that whole thing out anyway. So we're going to be loosening that up. And I think it was, let's see if we use some of these shallows for sizing. 18, yeah. Or was that a 17 as well? No, 18. All right, so 18 there. And on both sides. That was 17. Make the 15 on this side. That was gonna be 16. All right, let me get my other ratchet set here. 15, 16. All right, so I can hang on to that side. You can see in there. Okay, so that's your 17 back there. All right, Mr. Handy Dandy air wrench. Okay, so put that here. Make sure we're on reverse. And then number 16 right here. Okay, so a little lock washer came with that. I'll put that over here. In that corner. And that bolt comes sliding out. So put it there. And then basically your shock. And then we gotta loosen that nut up in the back of the shock, which is another, that's a 14. So we're gonna switch our air hammer off. Use our Astro right angle. Okay. Might need an extension on that. Let's get a 1/2 inch extension. That crazy. Alright, so we'll get that in there. Twist off pretty easy once you got it kind of cleared it here. I'll spray some WD. Let that penetrate a little bit. Just shake that down a little bit out of the way. Okay. So we'll leave that sit there. Now we're going to lower this down so we can get up top to remove that strut bolts. I think that should give me enough clearance. Lower it down. Make sure we got enough clearance over there. Okay. And if you can look on this side, this is all done. So it's all new. So I'll be basically got to put that back into place, but on the other side, what I did is I moved this out of the way because that is one of the bolts we're going to have to get to, but it looks like it's not in there, but it looks like they tack welded it on either side, so you don't have to struggle to get to it. So as long as you take these bolts off here, you know, that's pretty much it. You're good to go. So I think they were, I think they're 14s. Yeah, they're 14s. That one don't look so good there. So See, there are limits to this. Alright, let's use handy-dandy error. 14. Alright, reverse. Make some quick work of that. Now, before we get that out, that's a smaller screw on that side. Smaller nut per se. Let's work on getting those out. 13. I don't think they're 10s, no. Probably 12s. Yeah, 12s. Smaller one's there, bigger one's more on top. And then this strut will fall pretty quick, so there we go. I'll just let that nut sit there. Then that strut comes right out. Now it's the old one. We have the new one next door here. Garage Mahal Arcade. New strut. Let's get this ready. So we're going to put it in. And that's just a warning to make sure you don't take that center nut off. Do the wrong one by mistake. Because that would be very dangerous. Alright, so those are the bigger ones. These are stabilizer brackets. I'll just put them down to the side. We'll let that little guy sneak and sit in there. Now we're going to raise it back up again. Oh, let's get that other nut out. We're going to raise it back up again, and then we're going to get the inner control arm bolts out. And you can see how this is all new in here. And I did the control arm as well. So, but anyway. So now we have full access to these bolts here. And again, we're going to be using the side impact gun to get in there. I mean, you can use a regular ratchet, but it is going to be difficult to get that. To get in there, you definitely need a long breaker bar, so just kind of a heads up on that. Alright, this is so new, but I like this because I can get in here and I can break that nut off on either side. And I don't have to worry about clearance issues. And what was that? That was a 14. I can get the rest of it with a regular ratchet. 14. I think up. Yep, here's my 14 up here. That's because that's a little bit of a tight spot to get into. Alright, so that bolt comes out right there. I guess I could probably use my Milwaukee, but alright, so that one comes out from that side. So that is your old upper control arm that's causing all the problem and the havoc. And here's your new control arm. And I gotta be honest, I'm not 100% thrilled with and that's how you kill a fly. A little bit of alcohol knocks them right out. Anyway, okay. So if you look on the bottom here, there's no adjustment to tighten that down. So, I mean, I don't know. Every control arm is going to be a little bit different, but these I wasn't 100% thrilled with. Just for the other side, I had some trouble getting the pin in. So if you're shopping, I'll put a link to probably a better one online, but you'll be able to find one that has like a little Allen key to help tighten that up. So you got a, you know, a good tight connection up in there. But anyway, let's get this control arm in place. And hand tight so you can find the threads. Alright, that's good. So that was 14. Let's get this little side impact sucker in there. Now we got some room. And I got sockets all over the place. 14. No. 15. 14. Okay. And this, like I said, you set it. That one's going to tighten it down. It's just going to tighten it down like one click. So make sure you don't cross thread anything. And I like putting it on 2 because that gets pretty close to the torque that you need on this. Let that up into place. Okay, so that's basically just about torqued out, but what we're going to do is we're going to put a torque wrench on it and torque it up to spec. I never like giving numbers because everybody else online does give numbers for their torque specs, but I guess I can share. I like to put this around 55 pounds, but you might go a little bit more than that. Okay, so, but make sure you look your specs up online on what you need exactly so you can get this properly done. All right, so that's torqued. This one's a lot easier going down. All right, so we're good to go there. Now we can put in the new shock slash strut. All right, and this, again, we're gonna have to lower her down. I'll put you there. If you have this on jack stands, it's actually a little bit easier process because then you just have to stand. And me, I have to race up and down, up and down, up and down. But all right. So go down nice and slow. Make sure we're not going to hit anything over there. We're going to go down just so I can get the nut on top and hold it in place real quick. Okay. So again, You got the 2 lighter bracket bolts, then you got the heavier shock bolts. So we're gonna grab, make sure I got the right one. So when I put her in place, okay, there we go. Now you want to be kind of peek under here. It's a lot easier when you have a second person. This pandemic, I can't find anybody to help me work. Okay, so let's get it. All right, so here we go. Let's take a quick peek underneath. So you can better kind of line the holes up better, I think. Yeah, we're lining up right here. There we go. Okay. So just peek up at the top. And just grab a couple threads. Okay. Those 2 bolts there. Bracket there. All right, let's tighten those down. And what were we? Where we are? 14. 13 were for the smaller ones. All right, so we'll wait on that socket. 15. Size 14. Where's the right size? Again, let's tighten these down. Let's spec that out. Let's put an extension on that. Torque to spec. Put those little boogers back down. So that's all back together again. Let's bring her back up. All right, now for the fun parts. So this we are going to sit back into this little bracket. I'm going to squirt this rod with WD. Make everything slide in a little bit better. Now it should slide on pretty easy, but in case it doesn't, I have a couple tricks that we can use. And one is, I'm going to separate the back a little bit because there's a little opening to put a large screwdriver or a pry bar in there. Use a little itty bitty one. There's a notch behind here. You can kind of get it pretty easy. And then you just spread it and then slide it up. A little bit of force. I'll go up. And you'll see a notch behind there that you actually need to line up so you know you have it in the right position. Alright, so you'll feel a notch back there. It's in the back. Kind of hard to get a good camera shot on it. But once we're there, I like to give a quick tap with a hammer, or if you have an air hammer, like I do, they kind of cheat a little bit. Just give it a quick little love tap to help it get further along up in there. We'll hit from the other side. Alright, this guy doesn't want to go into place too easy. Alright, but you want to get it flush with that lip, so you're going to have the right angle on everything. And you just hit that with the air hammer again. A little more WD-40. Let's get the mirror and see what the holdup is. Ah, see, from this angle you can kind of see where that notch is. So we're not entirely lined up. There we go. Now you can see the mirror back there, probably pretty close to it. Let me get a little bit closer. See that little notch back there? Okay, so now that we're lined up, quick little left tap in there. I should put her in the rest of the way. Okay. See how it's sitting right in there now? So we got that. So this is going to be this back bolt. I believe that was probably a 14. 15 maybe. That's 15. Oh, there's 14. All right, so. Put an extension on this. So it's down in its spot. Now we can pull this upper control arm down a little bit. Okay. That's your little castle nut. Biggest fun part is actually getting this pulled down. Then lift this back up in place. Now you might have to put a jack or bring this down on the ground a little bit to get enough pressure up there to get this into place. Or I got a little bit of a cheat, I do. And I always like to keep some clamps around from my woodworking side of my life, and I'll draw this in under the pressure. Alright, so see how I got that wood clamp underneath and on top, so that gives you the pressure to relieve, so you can get this castle nut on. And you do need to put that under some torque, so we're going to lessen our torque wrench to the torque that needs. And again, other people hide what they do, but so you want to put that thing you gotta watch for is where that little alright, so now we're gonna be looking to see where we can see where we can put that little pin in. And I don't see where the hole is. Alright, so it's good. It's lined up right there. So let's get the pin. Cotter pin. Put it there. And we'll just bend that into its place. Alright, so I see that. So we got a handy dandy wood clamp. And as a bar clamp. So I think Irwin makes these, but I'll put the link for that because they always come in handy. And thank you, Garage Mahal Wood Shop, for use of that. Okay, so basically that is just about done. Now we just got to put this little shock bracket on at the bottom. So it's this pin, if you can get behind there. So you want to pull down on your control arm so you can kind of wedge and slip all this stuff back into place. Easier said than done. So I usually like using a big pry bar so you can get it in there. Pull down. Find a good spot. Pry down has always been the issue. Oops. Give that a couple squirts of some WD. So you basically just want to pull down on this, push back, and then it's going to line up, and then you can get that bolt in. Alright, so you want to put your bar in there. and just some maneuvering with a pry bar, we'll get that to line up for you. Like I said, the pry bar here kind of get some downward pressure to relieve off of that. And then sometimes you need a little lateral play, and you got to put one in here to kind of get that to twist back and forth. See how that moves around? Anyway, you'll get it. 17 on both ends, I believe. Let's do this manually since I got everything right here. Torque to spec. Torque to spec, and we're basically done. So that's your quick and easy strut and upper control arm replacement. All right, let's put everything back together. So this bracket up here, that was a 10mm nut. One. I think that means my battery's done. So put that one in. We got this little bracket over here. Okay, that's good. That's on one. We're gonna have this bracket, and like I said, we knew we just broke the screw on that before, so we won't be putting that one in. However, we can put this bottom one safely in. So that bracket's in. Alright, so we'll just double check everything. We did that, we torqued that one. Lower control arm we didn't do, so we're good there. Let's put the brakes back together. Redo these brake brackets. I will put that on here. Torque that down with a regular crescent, regular ratchet. I always say crescent, I don't know why. Okay, that's good. Okay. Torque down. Alright. Let's grease up these slides so we got good performing brakes. Okay. Get this pad in first. Put the back pad in. Good. Put the brake back. Put the pistons back on. I'm having a devil of a time with this thing. Okay, here we go. All right. See how messy I get really fast. Ever elusive 14. There we go. 14. that out.